If you clicked on this video, that tells me that you actually want to get good as Artful. And for that, I hold a high amount of respect for you, as most people either rage quit off of him, or just play the goats of the recent update who are legitimately overpowered. So, in this video, I will show you strong Artful setups for every new map so you can prove to the world what the Frenchman can do. I hope you enjoy. So on Baseplate, the main two areas where the civilians stay and try and loop you are this middle area of the map that connects this island on the left and the civilian spawn area on the right. And the second area is deep in the civilian spawn, so back here. The main two places where you're going to want to put your music boxes are in this corner right here. The reason why this music box is good is because it's going to catch any survivors who try and go around this wall right here. It's going to catch any survivors that try and loop deep in civilian spawn, with the music box being able to grab survivors all the way to the far side of the wall. The second place where you're going to want to put your music box is right in the center of this checkered stud area right here. And the reason why is because this music box will catch any civilians that try and loop you around these rails. It's going to catch any civilian that tries to loop you around this pillar right here. And it's going to get any civilian that tries to come out of the water. The only weakness to this setup is this main island in the back of the map right here, because there are plenty of little spots where the civilians can loop you. So ultimately what you're going to want to do is just cut off this entire area, because if you place a wall right here, this entire section of the map just becomes completely unavailable to the civilians. You'll just need to put one more right here, and the civilians will never be able to enter this area for the rest of the game. So all you'll need to worry about are these areas that you've established over here, and a wall right here also wouldn't hurt, just because this little looping spot deep back here isn't covered by anything and may actually be a threat to you. But all the remaining looping areas on this map will either be covered by music boxes or just be small enough to be essentially not a threat. Something, in my opinion, that's unique to Grandma's Backyard is that the civilians kind of like to hang around every place. Like, on most maps in this game, the civilians like to hang around two far ends of the map where they can just get their cooldowns back up, they can heal each other, whatever. But on this map, civilians like to hang around a lot of places, like this area up here. They like to hang around by this tunnel in the back. They like to hang around here because it's just a nice perch. And sometimes they hang around in the back of the map, like behind the church. It's just because on this map, there's so many nice areas to just wait for the killer and then to just run away. Like, it's very convenient for the civilians. Because there are so many loops on this map that the civilians love to use, you need to put your music boxes in places where it cuts off the most of these looping areas. So the first music box you're going to put down is going to be this one. The reason why you're going to place this music box here is because, firstly, it's going to cut off any civilians trying to loop you around this big rock in the center of the map, and it'll cut off any civilians trying to loop you around this big central rock. So the next music box you're going to want to use is to put one right here, because this is going to cut off any civilians trying to loop you around this big rock in the center here. It'll cut off any civilians trying to go from this back area to the gateway, and it'll cut off any civilians coming out of the gateway out into the main area of the map. Now, for your walls, you're going to want to be concerned about a few spots on the map, namely this one right here, because the civilians can easily loop you back and forth right here. So you're going to want to place a wall right here. And that is the most necessary one. This one will make a huge difference. But if you do want to place another one to just screw with the civilians even further, this one right here cuts off one of the major loops on this map and will just make your life a little bit easier, honestly. Not necessary, but it is nice. I would definitely recommend doing it. And don't forget that you can break down the wooden boards on this killer only door and make your way through, so you can easily place like a wall in the church doorway if someone runs into the back of the map, and then just double back to the gates and keep them in here so you can place another wall. Alright, Temple is one of Artful's weakest maps. The issue with this map is that it's just too big. So because of that, your resources are going to be run a little thin on this map, but you may be able to make it work. So the main two areas that you see the civilians hang out in are this back area inside this building. The other place that you see the civilians hang around in a lot is this, specifically this rock right here, this area. You usually don't see the civilians enter this area until later in the match, usually when things get desperate and they really just want to juke the killer out. But it's really important that you have this area covered eventually, because this will be a pain in your neck later in the game. So the main area that I recommend placing your music box is right here. And the reason why is because this covers up pretty nicely this entire area, which can be very annoying for killers a lot of the time. So if civilians ever enter through this area, if they ever come in through the top, if they ever come up this staircase, if they go straight or to the right, they're going to get hit by this music box. It just works really well. It covers everything up pretty nicely. Only thing is that you have this area which still isn't covered, but it's a pretty short loop, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem to get any civilian that tries to actually use it. Now, I tried to find like a nifty way that you could put one wall here and cover up this area and this area from entry, like maybe being able to like put it just in the center, but I've never been able to get it to work. Maybe one of you guys can. Maybe there's a way to stretch the hitbox out just enough and make Artful really good on this map. But every time I place it, there's always like a little gap the civilians can get through. But maybe you guys can place this wall in a match and trick the civilians into thinking that there isn't enough room. It could work and spare you from having to place this music box here, because it covers up like this whole area. So as for this section of the map, this is where things start to get a little hairy. And the reason why is because this is the biggest part of the map. There's so much shit to cover, and assuming you just place the music box over there, you literally only have one music box left. So the question is, where do you place it? Personally, for me, I place it over here. The reason why is because this is the area the civilians usually stay in at the beginning of the match. So this long area right here, I feel like there's two ways you can play it. First one is the safe way. Place your music box right here. Now the civilians are going to have to really go out of their way to avoid this. So there's no more looping around this table here, no more looping around this rock, which should be a big relief. And if any civilians come through this area, they're going to have to try and hug the wall as much as possible in order to avoid this music box, which is just a waste of stamina for them. Now the other way you could play this is to be a little riskier. So you could place a wall here, meaning that you're going to have to keep this wall up, okay? But you keep that there, and then you put your music box here instead. Now, the reason why this is significant is because it does a really good job of catching anyone who tries to enter this looping area right here. Because, like I was saying before, this will be your worst enemy in the late game. And having this here can help to keep the civilians out of here. Only issue is, they might get smart and they might just go around this table right here, go around this rock, and then completely avoid this music box entirely. But it does make them go out of their way to take all of these precautions to get around it, and you can exploit that to your advantage. Get some stamina back, go into this area, and see if you can sting them while they're trying to go around. But personally, I just find it a little better to place my music box right here. It just works a little better, and you don't have to worry about this wall the whole game. Now, finally, you have this area. This is a humongous problem, and will be for the rest of the game, because the civilians can loop you a million times over, and it is an absolute thorn in your side, and you need something to get rid of this shit. The best way you could do it is with a music box. I place it right here. And the reason why is because it cuts off pretty much any loop in the center. But you still have the issues, like people might go around the whole thing. You know, people might go to the back, you know, and just completely avoid it entirely. They might get nicked by the music box right here, but it's pretty simple to avoid. It does force the civilians to go out of their way to avoid this music box, as it does hold a lot of area, but it is a problem. Also, if you don't have this music box, if you place one right here and back there, then you're just gonna have to rough this, honestly. I would personally just avoid killing anybody in this area and just go for like the easy kills and then I'd start moving my stuff in here once I realized that people got smart. Like, you know, maybe I'll place that wall back here again. It doesn't work perfectly, but it does look like it works perfectly, and it can help, especially if you're moving your music box that was over here to here, so you don't just get looped to hell in the late game. Alright, now for Teapot Paradise. So this map feels a little bit like Temple, and it's just because it's also a really big map, and it also has quite a number of looping spots, but thankfully, this map is definitely a lot more manageable than Temple is. So the main areas that the civilians like to hang around on this map are firstly this top area. This is just like a nice meet and greet place for them. They like to hang out around here, especially up here. They love waiting for you to come up these stairs so they can drop and then just run to the other side of the map. The civilians also like this rock over here a lot, just because it's big and it reminds them of the one on Temple, probably. Now, the other side of the map that they like is right here. So they just like the polar opposite side, really, as well. I mean, that's how it is with most maps. They just like the far ends of the map. So what you're going to want to do for this map is always, every single time on this map, please, please, please put a wall here. This will become your worst nightmare if you do not place a wall here. And the reason why is because this little drop right here does not slow down the civilians. They can keep running as fast as they want as soon as they drop from there. And what the civilians love to do, like I was saying, is they like to stay up here, wait for you to come through, and then just drop and run. And there's really nothing you can do, especially as Artful. You know, even after his buffs, there's not that much you can do about this. So please, for the love of God, just place a wall here and don't deal with that. Now, to prevent civilians from just looping you and just generally running away from you in this area, you're going to want to place a music box right in the middle here. And the reason why is because it tidies up this area really well. I mean, if anyone comes running through here, they're going to get nicked by it. If anyone starts looping around this little thing, they're going to get nicked by it. If anyone tries to run past it, they're going to have to, like, either run further away from it, which is a waste of stamina so they don't get nicked by it, or they're going to have to run close so they can serve stamina, but then they're going to get nicked by it. So it just really makes this area a lot more manageable for you. Now, for your next one, I'm actually not going to recommend putting it on the other side of the map. And the reason why is because most of the loops over here are actually pretty small and manageable for Artful. And also, most of them can be covered up nicely with walls. So save your walls for this. Use your box right here. And the reason why is because it covers up all this stuff really nicely as well. Like, it covers up this rock loop because it nicks anyone that goes through this little spot. It does a good job at stopping civilians from looping around this wall. It also gets civilians that run through this area. It just works really well. Now, like I was saying, for the other side of the map, you're just going to want to use your walls to pack this all up. Like, people will loop you around this rock. The music box might nick you right here, but you're going to want to cover this up with a wall because this is annoying and you just do not want to deal with this later. So you can place like a wall right here. Yeah, just keep your walls over here and it should work out pretty nicely for you. Now, for this little area over here, civilians do like to stay on top of this little grassy patch up here and wait for you to come. Thing is, it's different from this spot over here because you do get slowed down when you drop from this little ledge right here. So there's a little, there's some pieces of wood that lead up here. Yeah, just break those real quick, and then you can run over here, and the civilians will drop, and then they'll be slowed down, and you know, you might not be able to catch up to them, but then they're going to get flushed over into this area, and then they're going to have to deal with this music box and this wall, and that's where you'll really shine and be able to take them out. So for Tundra Trench, the main two looping areas that you're going to see the civilians use are this upper area or this inner mines area, where they'll just circle around this part, go outside, come back inside, until you're out of stamina. So what's weird about Tundra Trench is that the best way to deal with the looping spots on this map is actually not to use your music boxes. The issue with them on this map though is that your walls are just stronger for that than your music boxes, and it's because of the way that the map was designed. Like, the major looping areas on this map all have something like this. Like, this little slot right here is perfectly designed by God himself for a wall. So what you're going to want to do is always have a wall on line right here as Artful. You should perpetually have a wall right here. Now, for your music box, what you're going to want to do is place it somewhere where it still cuts off as many areas where the civilians could loop as possible. But the thing is, this wall already does that super duper well. So the next best thing that you can do with your music box is just place it somewhere where it's going to get the civilians the most as they try and make their way around this looping area. Once the civilians realize that this area is off limits, they're going to try and figure something else out, you know, because they still don't want to die. So they'll come in here and be like, oh shit, and then they'll like turn to the side and probably start using this area, or maybe they'll turn back, or maybe they'll try and go over here and figure something out. You know, so what you're going to want to do is probably one of the best places to put your music box is right here, because civilians that run into here are going to get nailed by it. Civilians that run this way will get nailed by it. Civilians that are in here and are like, oh shit, this area is covered up, and go over here, when they try and leave, whether they go through the left or through the right, they're going to get nailed by it. It's just such a good spot for covering this whole section of the map that most civilians gravitate towards. Now for this section, you can honestly just leave it bare, because this is really all the civilians got to run around. And like, seriously, like, this is not a problem. Like, if you're an experienced Artful main, you know what it's like to get looped. You know what it's like to suffer a little bit. You can deal with this little teensy looping spot. It's no big deal for us, okay? But if you really want to, this little spot right here can be a problem. So you can put an additional wall right here if you want. So if the civilians actually run in here, then they'll be forced into a dead end. You can easily wrap them up, and then you can leave through this killer-only door. As for the other side of the map, it's actually the same thing. Look at this. Once again, another spot created by our Lord and Savior, Saucify 10, is just perfectly split up by a wall. You place this here, this entire area is off limits. This has become so much more dangerous for the civilians. They just can't use this area anymore. So your best bet for your music box here is actually just going to be in a really simple spot. It's just going to be right in front of the bridge here. And the reason why you're going to want to put it in front of the bridge is because, think about it. When the civilians get off the bridge, they're going to get nailed by it. If they go left, they're eventually going to make their way back here. They're definitely not going up here, so they're going to run into this. Whether they go far to the left or not, they're going to get nailed by it. So this is just a fantastic spot. And if they go right, it's the same issue as the left. There's like barely anything to work with over here, besides for this little area. I could see this being a problem. This shouldn't be a problem. It's the same thing as over there. This is like a niche tip, but there are like little pieces of debris here. There's like some buckets here, and they cover up this middle area. My suggestion is, if you really want to win this game, just don't break them, okay? Because the civilians, if they don't have like some sort of stun or something, they won't be able to break that. And then they're going to have to run around this whole thing. I doubt most civilians are actually going to go out of their way to break it. So what you could do is just like place your wall on one side. Then they'll either have to break the middle piece, or they'll go around the right side and then get cornered here. But I mean, like, this is, I would hardly ever see this happening to anybody. Like a situation where this would have to come into play. But I guess if you're playing against like high level players, I mean, like, God knows what can happen. So yeah, you could just get ready for that. Now, for the new map, Augury Exhibition, this map kind of reminds me of Grandma's Backyard because of how many different looping areas there are. Like, seriously, this whole, like, park-looking area has, like, a shit ton of little loops the civilians can use. So it's really important that your music box placement cuts off as many of them as physically possible. So for your first one, you're actually going to want to place it inside right here. And the reason why is because this intersection right here between these four areas is probably one of the most high traffic areas in this entire map. Like, it'll get anyone who's trying to come from the park in, it'll get anyone who's trying to come from this like weird like museum type area into the map, and anyone who tries to use this major loop right here will just get absolutely sniped by this music box. Now for your next music box, you're going to want to place it right here in this little grass area between this pathway. Now you're going to want to place it here because this whole park area, a lot of the loops happen to actually converge at this little intersection right here. So placing a music box here actually eliminates the majority of them. So anybody who's trying to loop you alongside this bridge will get sniped. Anyone who's trying to move through this pipe area is going to get sniped. Anyone who's trying to loop you along this wall is going to get sniped. Anyone who's trying to loop you through the backside of the map is going to get sniped. Like, it gets pretty much all the major loops on this side of the map, which is fantastic. So now that you got all these places taken care of, what you're going to want to worry about now is this whole back section of the map. So what you're going to want to do in order to prevent this is literally just wall this off. This is honestly like a common theme with a lot of maps. So you can really just wall off an area and just have the rest of the map to yourself. Like, because Cloak can't break Artful's walls anymore, and because Artful's walls are a little stronger now, like, it's honestly just so easy to wall off parts of the map like this and then just contain the rest of the map and create a lot of pressure there, so the civilians just get forced into your music boxes, and you could take advantage of that and just quickly get rid of them. Now, one more wall you could use on top of those two over there. Those two you definitely want to use, but one more that you can use if you really want to be overkill is you can place one right here. Or you could place one right here. And the reason why is because it just cuts off this back area a little better. Like, you're not, like, using these music boxes, this back area will be a little bit of like a sore thumb for you. But you can place a wall to make this area a little bit more manageable for yourself. But overall, it should not be as much of a problem as these other areas of the map that you're going to be using your music box for. So finally we have Roblox HQ. So the thing about this map is it's pretty big. It's got some outside areas, so there's just a lot of things to consider when you place down your music boxes in your walls. But thankfully it's actually not that complicated. So on Roblox HQ, the two areas that the civilians hang around in the most are firstly this area. The civilians really like to hang around this area. Usually they like stand behind the wall, get their abilities ready, and just wait for the killer to come over. And on the other side of the map, you've got this area. The civilians really like to hang around it. They just like to loop around these big desks here. They also really like to go on top of this staircase and just chill and wait for the killer to come over so they can like help their teammates. So for your first music box, you're going to want to place it about right here. And the reason why is because it just covers up this whole area really nicely. Anyone that comes through this area to try and go outside is going to get caught by it. Most of these loops get caught by it. Like this one you'll get nicked by it just a little bit. Moving around this wall here, you'll absolutely get caught by it. You know, just ever entering this area will be a problem for the civilians. And this is a big area that the civilians usually stay around. So for your next music box, you're going to want to place it right here. Just in the center of this area, very simple, just like the last one. And it's for the same reason as the one on the other side of the map. It just catches this whole area very nicely. Anyone that tries to loop you around these desks is going to get caught. Anyone that tries to go into this area is going to have to run past this. Just this whole area just becomes a problem to enter and exit for the civilians. And they have literally nowhere to go once they come in here, other than this doorway. The only problem I can see is people looping around this desk here, and the reason why is because it doesn't get caught by this disc at all. So the solution to that is really simple. You could just place a wall down. I mean, like, you know, this is why you got them. They're just little supplements to help you with where your music boxes don't catch. This way you should be fine over here. Now, as for the rest of the map, just as a general strategy, do not wall this area unless people go down here, because this is a dead end. I mean, once people go down here, they are just asking for death. So ensure that they actually do die. So you don't need to move your music boxes or anything, but once you see somebody go down here, just wait till they're like firmly down there. Like they're in the grassy area, and then place a wall. You know, once you got this wall here, there's no getting out, and then you could just come down here and just kill them. It'll be really simple. There's no way they can get out. And if they keep on looping you, you could literally just go over here and place another wall. I mean, you got plenty of time. It's not like this wall's going to break anytime soon. So you can just place that there, and they literally have no chance. The only other thing you really need to be concerned about is civilians coming into this area out here. This area is actually a humongous problem for killers because it's such a large area with this big little section in the middle with the plants that is super good for looping the killer. I mean, there's so many little options that survivors can use to trick you up, and it's just a huge problem. So what you're going to want to do is, this is also just another good rule of thumb for this map, always keep a wall up right here. This will save your ass in the late game because people will use this outside of area. Trust me, they will. Once they realize that this area and this area of the map aren't working out and that you're just killing everybody, they're going to resort to going where the music boxes aren't. They're going to go outside and they're going to notice that you don't really have that many defenses up out there, and they're going to exploit this, and this is going to be the reason why you lose. Place this wall here. It locks them out there. It's super easy. Just keep this up for as long as you can, and trust me, it will save you in the late game. You can also place another wall here just to like keep anyone down there contained within this area, but like that one's not like super necessary in my opinion, because like if they do come back around, you got that music box up there to catch them. You know, the thing I'd be most concerned about is them looping you in this area, so you can just like slap a wall anywhere in here just to make your life a little easier. Like you could put one right there. Actually, that's not really good, but you could put one like right here maybe, and they can't really get around that. It just cuts their options short. It's a little harder for them to loop you. Then again, this spot just has a lot of options, so just get ready to get looped in this section.